welcome back to Scentuality. So I just really wanted to give you an update on my perfume journey. As you all know, I recently decided that I wanted to sell some perfume, and basically, the highest ambition that I had or I have is just to be an artisanal perfumer. And artisanal perfumery is basically handmade perfume produced in small batches. Now, really, all I wanted to do was to produce 100 bottles. And even in the beginning, all I intended to do was to produce just 33 bottles, basically. I intended to sell 30 milliliter bottles, and I worked out I get 33 bottles out of 1 liter of ethanol. So this is what I was basing everything off, and I was going to make one batch and then see if I sold any, and then I was just going to make another batch and another batch. But really 100 was just basically all I was intending to sell. Now, I did all of my research, I got some advice, and I started to walk the steps as it is, and do all the necessary things that I needed to do. So I basically applied, I set up my business, I applied for my VAT number, I got my VAT number, I spoke to a chemist with regards to a CPSR check just to make sure that my perfume formula is within the IFRA limitations, just to make sure that it's safe for public use, etc., etc. And basically, if my CPSR check was great, then I've got the legal documentation. I can then log my perfume with the European Union, along with that information, as well as a picture of my bottle, the labeling, my packaging, etc. As far as I was aware, that's all I needed to do. On top of that, I also got all of the the MSDS documents, the safety sheets for all of the oils that I am using in my formula, as well as the MSDS safety sheet for the ethanol that I'm also using. Now, all of this gets kept in what's called a PID file. And this is basically all of the necessary information relating to your product, and you have to keep that up yourself. This is a legal requirement, so the CPSR that won't get done without the MSDS safety sheets for all of the materials that you're using in your formula, and you can't sell your perfume without the CPSR documentation and without logging it with the European Union. But once you do that, then you've launched your product into the marketplace and you are free to sell it. Now, that's the European law. Now, what happened was, once I registered my business and I applied for my VAT number, the next thing that happens is a German official turns up at my door unannounced. I live in Germany. Sorry, I didn't make that clear at the beginning of this video. I am an Englishman living in Germany. Now, this official turned up at my door, and I was a bit surprised. My wife was abed with my 9-month-old daughter, and consequently it woke them two up. Because my wife was woken up, she came to the door and she started to talk to this person. And it transpired that this person had basically looked at my website. They looked at my website, and they were sort of alarmed, or intrigued is not the right word, but they felt the need to come and check me out, because on my website there's a section which I believe is the smell of sexuality, and it just basically talks about all of the different oils which you can use to create the human olfactory. So like cumin is used for sweat. I think it has a caro, smells like a baby's head. Musk smells like urine, etc., etc. But there's some imagery on there, basically all stock photography of models posing in an artistic way, suggesting sexuality. So, for instance, there's the picture of a woman's underwear with love written on it, and a woman making a heart shaped over it with her fingers. And there's another image of a woman, maybe in a corset on a leather couch sideways with lots of dim lighting. And I think there's another image of a woman's buttocks, I think, and sort of everything else is shadowed out, silhouetted out, and it's all kind of like artistic photography, and yeah, nothing illegal or even really sexual apart from the lingerie. At least not to me, or at least not to my generation. And yeah, it annoyed me that this person sort of picked this aspect of my website out, which had nothing to do with selling perfume. In fact, my whole website isn't about selling perfume; it's about making perfume. So I started there, where I was like, I don't understand why am I being judged on this aspect of my website where I'm talking about animalics and some molecules that replicate the smell of sperm, or urine, or just the generic stuff that you already know if you're interested in perfume, or you make perfume. So I was like, wow, what's this got to do with anything? And then they wanted to see my production hall and all of this other jazz, and I was like, I don't get this. I literally haven't even done anything yet. I haven't applied for my CPSR because I was waiting for my VAT number. I haven't even bought my bottles yet or anything. The only thing I've done so far is basically work out my formula, and I've got the design for my packaging. But so they are. I don't speak that German that well, so my wife explained that I only intend to sell 100 bottles, and it's just a small enterprise, artisanal perfumery. But this person just wouldn't have it. They were like, well, yeah, but what happens if you're going to do it on a bigger scale and all this kind of thing. And they wanted to know the company that I was buying my oils from. They wanted to know the company that I was getting my CPSR from. So I gave them all this information, and they went away. And then a couple of days later, today, they called back, and basically they said the place that I was getting the CPSR from was fine because it was an accredited company. They never said anything about where I get my oils from, but basically just giving a lot of, it was fear mongering, trying to put me off the whole thing. Really ignoring the fact that I wanted to do it on a small scale, and more or less giving the impression that it can only be done on a large scale. Now, I don't know if this person knows anything about perfumery, but they seem to have looked into it based on my application, like setting up my own business kind of thing, and it coming up on their radar. And they were talking about some other instance of somebody who created a lavender spray for spraying on pillows at night for helping babies go to sleep, but it transpired that their levels of lavender were too great, and it could have killed the baby. But I'm thinking, well, that's what a CPSR is for. That a chemist looks through everything and figures out whether this is safe or not. I'm using software which is linked to the IFRA database, which I can monitor how much of something that I'm putting in. It tells me if it's too much with regards to IFRA, and how much I'm actually wanting to make. If I'm making a 15% concentration, it tells me if that's too much, and it tells me if I need to make this perfume at a 10% concentration, and that will make my levels okay. I've already thought about this, and I'm already making sure that my CPSR does pass, and I don't need to sit and worry and think, oh, will it or won't it. I'm already sort of doing as much as I can by myself. So yeah, God, it was so disheartening just to hear all this stuff. And then he said, oh, well, you can't do it at home because you have a baby, and you have to get in touch with this other company, and then you have to ask them what you need to do, and you'll need to get another premises and all of this kind of stuff. And I'm thinking, nah, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. All I want to do is produce 100 bottles. All I want to do is be an artisanal perfumer. I'm not looking to make lots of money. It's not why I'm doing this. And I think like I'm coming from this place and they're coming from a completely different place, like a business orientated place. Basically, I'm just using the business aspect of it to get a perfume out there officially. And it's more like, at this point anyway, the what's behind me doing it is the fact that, you know, I grew up in a place where people tell you that you can't, and you grow up your whole life and most people don't amount to much because they hear this all of their lives, and they hear it from other people who are too afraid, who don't believe in themselves. And it's a vicious circle. Somebody else told them that they should only be small, and, you know, parents pass it down to their children and so forth. And yeah, I was so miserable in that place, so depressed, you know. I self-harmed, my whole life there, like it was killing me. It was like poison to me, and I couldn't breathe, and I knew I wouldn't survive, and I had to leave, and I managed to leave, and it wasn't pretty. And I've spent years of my life in ugliness. I've lived without furniture. Honestly, in the end, I've even worked hard, you know. I thought, yeah, I'll just get my head down, I'll work hard. Didn't pay off. People just, you know, used me basically. I was hardworking. I always said yes, and people, you know, they got me to work hard for them, but didn't reward me sufficiently for that. And I realized then, you know, that didn't even work, and I ended up eventually just throwing caution to the wind, and I gave up my entire life, and I went to another country, and I just volunteered for a year. And that's actually where I met my wife. Now, my wife's German, and at the time we were living in Ireland, and she wanted to go to the Netherlands to study art therapy, and I went along with her. But of course, I never really had a life there. Lived there for about 4 years, and then we came to Germany, and I've never had a life here neither so far. So for me, it's like a long time coming. All I wanted to do was to find something that I really enjoyed doing, that I could sort of make into my life, so that you know, I could wake up every day and enjoy what I did, and I could, you know, now all I want to do is be around for my daughter, and I want to be in her life every day. I don't want to be somewhere where I don't see her, and all I do is, you know, read her a story before bed. That's not the life that I want for my child, and you know, I'm going to fight anyone who tells me that I have to live any other kind of way. So, you know, to hear all this today, it was just like I got triggered, because it didn't really sound like somebody was supporting me. It sounded like somebody was trying to put me off. And it's like this, you know, like if you come from a place where I come from, it's so easy for somebody else in another position, from another walk of life, who grew up completely differently, to say, well, yeah, you can do whatever you want to do, you know, it's up to you, etc., etc. But in the end, if you don't have the support, you can't do anything. If you don't have the bottom of the pyramid, if you don't have the foundation, you can't become a doctor. You can't, you cannot do these things, you know. You're always just barely hanging on. You're living hand to mouth. You don't have the emotional support, the mental support. You don't have the things you need in order to function properly. So I felt like my whole life's a battle, and it's all been around this type of thing. And yeah, now I'm with a wife. I've been with this woman for 10 years. I have a 9-month-old little girl, and they're my life, and I'll fight for them, and I'll stand by them, and they'll never walk alone. And this is all I'm about. I'm about my family. These two people are my family. And my wife is the only one who has ever supported me in my dreams. You know, she's financed a lot of it, and she's always been there and always supported me, and I've always needed somebody like her in my life. But when you're doing these types of things, you also need a system to help you a little bit. You also need the system that you know expects you to follow all the rules. You need them to help you. You need them to give something back, and it's just not reality. It doesn't happen. The system, your system, my system. It's not there to help anybody. It's you know, it's not about the people. And this is just what I'm reminded of today. It's the thing I hate about life. I hate about the world we live in, the societies we live in, the system we live in. It's just ugly. It's judgmental. It's not for everybody. Nobody is equal. It's just sickening, and that's just kind of the place that I ended up in today. And it just annoys me so much. And you know, the saving grace is my wife came across an article, a German article, differentiating the difference between a really big manufacturer and somebody who makes a small amount of something cosmetics based in their own home, and how the rules differ. And it's actually far more, you know, minimal and perfectly doable. In that legislation pertaining to somebody making cosmetics in a very small amount in their own home, and compared to this person who was really talking as if I'm some big company who wants to put into production thousands of bottles of perfume to sell all over the world. Like, I don't know if this person's aware, but I know for a fact I can't sell it outside of Germany. I think I can sell it within the European mainland, but I definitely can't send it in an airplane. I can't send it overseas. I actually think I can just sell it in Germany, but yeah, like I just feel like I already knew more than this person, and all I got from this person was the fear that they have with regards to this subject matter and all that they don't know about it. And I just got annoyed that this person, even though they didn't really know what they were talking about, like thoroughly enough, but they were still, you know, fine to just say to me, "Oh, I don't think this is possible. This is going to cost you lots of money. You need to have a completely new premises and all of this kind of thing." And the fact that they said that I definitely couldn't do it here because I have a 9-month-old daughter. I mean, like, that's bureaucracy, but you know, obviously I can make perfume and still have a 9-month-old daughter. Like, I've got 3 liters of ethanol in the next room. I've got aroma chemicals, absolutes, essential oils, CO2s, and I can have them legally. And legally I can still have my 9-month-old daughter. So it's just these things, like, I just wish people wouldn't say it. Like, don't tell me because I've got a 9-month-old daughter that I can't sell it, but I can make it. Like, what's the difference there? You know what I mean? It's the same. Nothing's happening that's different. I'm legally allowed to have my daughter, and I'm legally allowed to make perfume. So I just didn't appreciate these kind of things, and I didn't understand what my website had to do with anything. It wasn't about selling perfume. And they said that because my website looked so professional, that people would also expect me to be incredibly professional, like, you know. And the whole time I'm like, I'm not Hugo Boss, you know. All I want to be is an artisanal perfumer. And you know, my website is a WordPress site that I've customized, and yeah, I've added stuff to it, made it look like I want it to look like, but I don't know how to code. I didn't build it from scratch, and anybody can do that. But yeah, if you're not aware of that and you don't use a computer for anything more than Microsoft Word or Excel, then that might be impressive. But really, it's kind of the bare minimum these days for anything, you know, if you want to have a website or social media or anything like that. So to me, this was just another point that wasn't really worth holding against me. Like, just because my website looked professional to this person, that then I should be adhering to much stricter guidelines. Um, yeah, it's just really disheartening. It really caught me off guard, and it's not the fact that I can't make perfume to sell as it stands at this moment in time. It's just the fact that somebody else who knew less about perfumery has tried to talk me out of it and try to make me understand that if anything happens to anybody with my perfume, then I'll be liable and it will cost hundreds of thousands of euros, and I have a little baby to think about and my child will suffer and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, look, that's what a CPSR is for. That's why this chemist checks the formula and everything and makes sure that it's safe and tells me what I need to put it on the label. That's what I'm legally required to do. So I don't understand. This person also said that um, despite the fact that I get a CPSR, I will also have to give them a sample of my perfume for them to analyze themselves, which is free and is fair enough. But I don't know what's the point in the CPSR then. I don't really get it. If I'm logging that with the European Union in it and following the law, I just don't really understand why I have to also give somebody else a sample of it. Because if the European law says it's fine and everything, and the chemist says it's fine, I don't understand really the correlation. Like how do they link together? What happens if this person doesn't like my perfume, but the chemist says it's fine, and I don't know. It wasn't like straight information or anything. It just honestly don't really know what I'm supposed to do now. It's very confusing, and yeah, I don't really know where to go right now. And I've been angry all night, and this probably would have turned out into a different video, but my wife kind of pushes me sometimes, and I had this big passionate talk with her, and then this is what's come out. So I'm more reserved than what I was going to be. But yeah, as I say, I'm living in Germany, and obviously in Germany, somebody's going to be looking over your shoulder all of the time. And all I wanted to do was sell a maximum of 100 bottles. And yeah, there's somebody literally knocking at my door immediately. I'm questioning everything that I'm doing. Yeah, so they're not making it easy for you. I think they actually specifically said that Germany were cracking down now on cosmetics and people who are, I don't know really. I think they must mean people who don't follow the legal, go down the required legal channels and have a CPSR, because obviously if you have one of them, then it's fine. Your formula's been checked, etc. The only thing that really you're responsible for is the manufacturing of it. So then it would have to be something that entered your bottle during manufacturing, and that's fair enough. That's your responsibility, but that's your responsibility, and you're going to have to take that responsibility if you want to sell something. It doesn't matter what you sell, you're taking responsibility for your product. I mean, you wake up in the morning, you take responsibility for a bunch of things. Responsibility is a part of life and a part of being a person and being separate to everybody else. You kind of take responsibility for your life. Yeah, but I don't know what to do with that. It wasn't exactly support, it was more trying to put me off. That's how I saw it. It wasn't support, it was more about, it was like these people that I've listened to all my life telling me that I can't do something because they can't imagine how I can, or because they have no idea how to make perfume. You only know how to buy it. And there's always a massive difference between people who just buy perfume and people who know how it's made. People who just buy perfume are always so surprised that you have animalics in the perfume, or there's things like butyric acid, and there's butyric acid in the vagina, and all these kind of things. When you start joining the dots for them, they're really shocked and surprised. And yeah, I put it on my website, and then somebody looks at it who's naive to perfume and is shocked and surprised and also offended, I guess, by sexuality. It's just such a it's just such a mess. You know, the more people that get involved, the more of a mess it becomes, because you get that person in the mix. You know, you get their personality, you get their fears, their concerns, you get who they are as a person. So I thought it would be as straightforward as me making the perfume, formulating the perfume, making sure I followed all the legal requirements, but even that wasn't enough. I still have another person in between me and actually doing what I want to do. And I don't have anything against that person, you know, it's a job. They're doing a job, and if it wasn't them, it would be somebody else doing that job. It's the system that I don't like, and it's the approach, and it's just the nature of it all. There's no support there. I could be, you know, no one really cares about me. They don't care what my name is, who I am, or nothing. None of these people talk to me. They don't know me. So it's just the nature of the whole thing. It's ugly. And yeah, that's just all I wanted to share really in this video. Yeah, you know, due to all this, I'm not really in the mood to make perfume right now. I'm kind of through with it at this present moment in time. I definitely don't have the desire to sit down and make something. I'm really sorry I haven't made any more YouTube videos lately. You know, I've had all this going on. I've been putting all my energy into getting all these things into position, and yeah, now I'm just really lackluster, disheartened, and yeah, I just need to let it sit with me for a little bit. But yeah, if you're living in Germany and you're thinking about doing this, I guess it's not as easy as you might think, or you know, it might be easier than I've been told, and I suspect it is for somebody who just wants to make a small amount of perfume. But yeah, somebody probably is going to get involved and throw a spanner in the works, or maybe he's trying to put you off. So you should bear that in mind. I've already spent a bit of money on various little things to do with this, so yeah, it's disheartening, but it's also life. It's the system, it's the country I live in. If it wasn't this country, it'd be another country, and I'm used to people getting in the way, so it's just normal. But that's also what makes me mad. So thanks for watching this video. If you stuck around to the end, hopefully I'll have something more positive to report in the very near future. So have fun making perfume, and yeah, you know, have fun in your life. Don't sweat the small stuff. You know, try to find something that's positive.